Hello, everyone. Welcome to I Can't Sleep. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a Swedish movie that I saw on Amazon Prime, but it was HBO Max. It was called The Investigation, and it starred Søren and Pilou Asbæk. And those are my two favorite Danish actors. But I did see some other faces in that. It was a well-acted movie. And it was a TV show, several episodes, I should say. Not a movie. It was very interesting, and it's very slow, what they call a slow burn, because it takes. And it's a murder investigation. And you look at it from how they start, how the police agencies begin. They have a whisper of foul play. And I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. I don't want to spoil the show for anybody. But in it, a female reporter, goes off in a submarine to interview, I believe he was a builder. And she is murdered, but they don't find the body at first. First, he is arrested, and they said in the movie he was charged with murder, and her parents were like, well, did you find a body? Why are you charging him with murder? And they explained that in Denmark, it's a technicality. When he's arrested, in order to, this person, whenever they are arrested, they must be charged with something. That's what they said in the movie, something like that. So anyway, it went on, and a body was found. So then that changed the scenario a little bit. But then it went into all the technical details that go into an investigation. The body was dismembered, and it was out in the ocean. Denmark, as you know, has a coast. So the torso of this body washed up on a coast in Sweden somewhere. And they were looking for the rest of the body. And they tracked a submarine. They tracked the submarine, the route of the submarine. It was amazing to watch. They, I don't know if they followed it through the cell phone pings, but they went, they could exactly its route. And they were able to follow the route of the submarine. Then they had cadaver dogs. The water cadaver dogs. And I've never heard of water cadaver dogs, but what it was, they put the dog on a boat, and then they just take the boat out and in the ocean and draw around. But the dog has like 200 scent cells, and so it's able to smell the gases as the body is decomposing on the bottom of the ocean through all that water. But the gases rise to the top, and that's the odor that they can smell. But then there was the added complication of the current and the wind, and that would carry the scents miles away from where the decomposing body was. So that went into some technicalities and explained that. And there, of course, was the other technicality. When I say technicality, it's tech. It's very detailed. It's scientific. Of course, DNA and fingerprinting and that, but they also used some computer forensic skills. And they explain that even though something is erased, it still exists on the hard drive. So they were able to trace it that way. And any movies that this suspected killer had ever watched, and they could trace it that way. It was very interesting what they could do. I worked in the forensic department at Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia one summer, and it is amazing just the different things that they have, the tools that they have to investigate a crime. Okay, then there were just other things like, of course, your cell phone. They talked about the cell phones. Well, let's recover the cell phones. And they said, well, the cell phones have been exposed to salt water, and they're probably buried in the mud at the bottom of the seabed. And because of the salt water, the chip, I want to call it the hard drive, but it's a chip, that would be destroyed. So the memory would be destroyed. So that was interesting. There was just so much technical things that went into it. It was amazing to see what they have to solve crimes. And toward the end of the movie, I couldn't get this off my mind tonight. I was laying there thinking about it. It really gives you a lot to think about. The policeman was saying to the other gentleman, the prosecutor, let's see, Søren Malling played the police chief, and Pilou Asbæk played the lawyer. Now, both of them were in the movie 1864, which was a movie about a Danish war. I think Denmark and Germany back in 1864, and it was what the movie was about. It was very interesting. And of course, Pilou Asbæk was in Game of Thrones. He played Euron Lovejoy Greyjoy. I can't think of his name now, and I thought I would never forget that family. But he is a wonderful actor, and so is Søren Malling as well. They are both terrific actors. But anyway, Pilou Asbæk was talking, he played the prosecutor in this film, and he was talking about, well, the police chief was saying, well, we have all these technicalities and all these technical tools that we use to investigate a murder, and there are only 50, he said this in other words, of course, he said there are only 50 murders in Denmark, but being in the jobs that we are in, we see every one of them. We are aware of every one of them, and the crime rate has dropped, and it doesn't feel like it at all because they see so much of it. And Pilou Asbæk's character said, well, maybe the more civilized we become, the more we want to stare into the face of darkness. And I thought that was so interesting. Why do we invest so much time and energy and education in solving something so dark? Why do we go in that direction when there is so much else that is positive? What about life? There are so many things. There's beauty in music. Why haven't we invested all of our attention in those areas? Beauty in art, music, so many things. Instead, we are so, wow, it's a lot to think about. Why we have invested that. Okay, and even in the law, there is so many things, so many layers of things in prosecuting a crime, any crime, several crimes. They're all covered in the law. And I just thought that was so interesting, and I couldn't get that off my mind tonight. That raised such a philosophical question. And from DNA, how they can get DNA from a hair on your head, so many different things, to checking the computer for forensic detail. So many things. And I thought that was interesting, and I just couldn't get that off my mind tonight. I thought I would mention that tonight. Now maybe I can go to sleep since I've been up to talk to you. And that's really all I have. I just couldn't get that off my mind tonight. It was such a wonderful show, and I encourage you to check that out. It's called The Investigation. It's on HBO Max, on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. but I'm sure on other streaming things as well. Well, I thank you very much for being here and listening to me. Have a great evening. Good night. Bye-bye.